which I found was, it's painted by Haji Soliman. I just thought it was a great picture. Scratching his ears. Okay, my objectives now as being the Spanish Task Force Chairman are to copy the documents in Spain and in different Mexico archives. Also to copy documents in different libraries, reference books, more reference books donated to the DAR library. Also, one of my, I had a woman last year send me an email saying that her Hispanic, it was a supplemental ancestor, was fighting in Gibraltar. And is there any way that he could be a patriot? And I immediately said, oh, I don't know, I'll look into it. And I sent an email to a man, Darren Lichter, who's my mentor at the genealogy office at National. And he said, no, there's no way. And I said, why not? The Spanish were fighting against the British there, and many of the ships at the same time were fighting in Gibraltar and not fighting in the American campaign. So you'll see. Go to the next slide, please. Oh, no.
Did we miss one?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. So that's
No, go forward.
so it got lost in the traveling. I was told from National, in the case of Gibraltar, the British naval forces were using Gibraltar to attack American supply lines from France and Spain. Captured American soldiers were held at Gibraltar. John Paul Jones was involved in engagements with British ships based at Gibraltar. As a result of this research, the Genealogy Office is pleased to provide you with the following definition of American waters. This definition applies to naval service only and does not address engagements by land forces outside the traditionally accepted areas. This, I think, is very, very important because they've opened up the frontier to another area, which I'm just thrilled with. And it says, DRR will credit military service to members of Spanish and French naval forces who engaged in hostile actions with British naval forces in American waters during the Revolution. American waters, for DAR purposes, is defined as any area in which American naval forces and/or privateers were in current or active operation, and may include those waters not immediately adjacent to the 13 colonies. This policy supplements DAR's traditional interpretations of naval service. So this is a very important opening up for Spanish patriots and different people. So I'm thrilled with that. And the woman who I told you about earlier who contacted me from New Mexico has her papers going in now to National. So I'm hoping that they will be approved. And her ancestor was Jose Maria Narvaez. And he was in naval battles under a man by the name of Luis de Cordova on the 74-gun Navío Trufante in a combat in 1782. And the British fleet was commanded by Admiral Richard Earl Howe, who was known as Black Dick. And from the archives in Simancas, I got her family, or her patriot's military record, which says that he was fighting with Luis de Cordova on the ship, and it's absolutely wonderful. And that was our first military service record from Spain, so that was a very exciting part for me. And in the end, I also want to find the Spanish patriots, any ministers, anybody who was in the government, and hopefully my husband, I have him working on, so it's to try to get my husband a little bit more involved and become not just a Hodar. I wanted to thank everybody. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Just by merely giving 2 pesos as a donation qualifies you?
Yes.
And it did not have to be more than 2
No,
pesos?
the royal decree, because at that time the soldiers and the Indians and people didn't have have much money. I don't exactly know what the normal salary was, but 1 or 2 pesos was a lot of money that
He
they were
also said
giving.
in prayer, so I wonder if they could prove that.
That's great.
He did declare they had to give some things, 1 to 2 pesos, depending on what they were giving, and then to pray.
To pray.
And
So we'll have to work, I'll work on that one. So I have to get the list of who prayed.
Shirley would send the church.
Actually, I think that this handwriting is excellent.
It's
actually
easy.
a lot easier than some of the American papers. You can actually read their writing.
Not all of them are as clear
As clear
as
as
that.
that.
But with the magnifying glass, and I was amazed, because I said, usually a lot of times I get documents and I say, Louis, will you read this for me? And it's clear as water. And they've been looking for the list of those donations for years.
Yes.
And I have a feeling every presidio, every town, everything is there. Now we just have to go back, we've opened the door, and go back and find it. So, any more questions?
Well, speaking of universities around the various states, I know for our friend from Burville, who my sons were at Southwest Texas, which is now called
Texas
San Marcos. For those neighbors, we know where it is, but regardless of whatever. They have wonderful, wonderful Mexican and Spanish records in that library there, at that particular university. And I'm sure that University of Texas, Houston, and all of the universities probably have papers that we don't even realize.
Exactly, that's why I think it was so important and being honored to be able to speak here today, because you all live here and can find volunteers to go in and copy those documents and send them on to national. And it's something I think we've been trying to do since 1998, and I think it's something that we really need to push